The hills surrounding Lake Okanagan will be lit up again tonight. People anxious to know if their homes are still standing. Flames blown by strong winds, spitting out embers kilometers away.
Just to see the aggression and how the wind and the different colors of the flames and how they candled was just, I was just absolutely devastated and almost fell to my knees.
Evacuation orders expanded through the night and day. The McDougall Creek fire burned closer to West Kelowna as more fires started on the Kelowna side.
This went like a big ugly serpent over the hills and valleys and the crescents of the canyons, and then you see these homes with their lights on just underneath that.
Local officials say there have been significant losses, but how many buildings isn't clear. The situation is still too dangerous for crews to go in and assess the damage.
We fought 100 years worth of fires, all in one night.
West Kelowna's fire chief describes incredible efforts.
We undertook one of the biggest firefights I've ever been a part of in the West Kelowna Estates neighborhood. The firefighters who fought that fire held that ground.
No loss of life, according to officials, but another dire warning for people to leave if ordered to.
At this time, I'm asking British Columbians and tourists to avoid traveling to the central interior and southeast portions of the province if possible.
A catastrophic picture is emerging. Lake Okanagan Resort has burned down.
There's about 4 older apartment buildings on the resort property. The lowest one, the top half of it, was completely on fire.
But RCMP have told residents not to visit the evacuation zone by boat. The airspace above Kelowna International Airport is currently closed, and most flights are canceled. Evacuees are being urged to stay with family and friends.
The worst part is just the waiting at the evac center. They're short-staffed. They don't have enough volunteers.
We ended up being one of the last to leave because we were warning people. I was running door to door. It was scary. It was like running for your life.
And Mira, what could this newly declared state of emergency mean for people here in BC?
A state of emergency means the province could impose travel restrictions. And to give you an idea about the magnitude of this emergency, about 15,000 people are under evacuation order and 20,000 people are under evacuation alert. And as this situation evolves, Kelowna General Hospital is on code orange alert, which means staff are preparing for a potential disaster.
Mira, thank you. The CBC's Brady Strachan has lived in the Kelowna area for more than a decade. And Brady, I know you've been talking to a lot of folks there at the evacuation center. What have you been hearing?
Yeah, Ian, many people have been waiting here for quite a long time, waiting to get in to see what supports they can get, like a hotel room or food vouchers. And speaking to them, many of them spent the night, last night, overnight in their vehicles here, watching as these fires raged above their neighborhoods. So today there's a bit of anxiety here. And for some people, they fear that they may have even lost everything.
What are you doing here?
Just soaking in the last bit.
Pretty tough, eh? What's going through your mind right now?
It's just where I grew up.
And Ian, that young man, he told us he drove all the way back from Victoria to see his family's home. He's, of course, worried if it's even still standing now. Other people we talked to are worried about pets that got left behind and also what might be left of their neighborhoods when they're finally able to get back in there.
2003, Brady, that was the big fire in the Kelowna area, and I assume a lot of people tonight are thinking about that part of their history.
Yeah, Ian, many people here are talking about that. And of course, that fire was driven by strong winds and it destroyed more than 200 homes in the Kelowna area. We've got a lot of strong winds here. We're expecting them to pick up again, and we know we do have some structure loss here. This fire feels really big, and people are hoping that it's not as devastating as the fire of note in 2003. Ian?
All right, Brady Strachan, thank you so much. People not following orders is a critical concern in Kelowna right now. Some under evacuation order have not left, and officials highlighted that danger, describing scenes where the lives of emergency responders were put at risk while trying to save others.
Emergency responders, including the RCMP and BC Wildfire Service, stepped up and got those people out of the precarious situation they were in. And I'm very glad it turned out the way that it did, but it didn't have to be that way. We don't put evacuation alerts on because it makes our job easier or it's just something that we have to do procedurally. We do it because there's a very real risk that we need you to leave your homes with little to no notice. And last night was a prime example of that. As has been mentioned, we're not done yet either, so don't be complacent. That was just one of what was likely many situations that took place last night. In that case, they couldn't make it out because the fire had burned across and blocked the road that they were traveling on. In the neighborhood that they were in, there was only one way in and one way out. So great risk was taken to preserve life in that case. But there were, I'm sure, countless other cases. I know there were a number of people who were rescued out of the water at Traders Cove. And I don't have numbers or specifics on that. But again, that is definitely an option of last resort.